What's up, everybody? Was that loud, Tefy? Was that loud? Are you not ready for that?
I'm so happy to be here. Excited.
Well, you were
Is this our first
highly.
bilingual? Is this our first bilingual podcast?
Well, it's technically not bilingual. We're doing it in
Well,
English.
Pero
well,
puedo decir hola a todos. Hey,
and we're
there's a
there.
lot of
There you
people
go.
watching you guys here in
Sí,
Latin America. So,
amiga. Amiga,
hola a
por
todos,
favor.
team. Bienvenidos.
This is, I was, whenever I watch CrossFit coaches talk in other languages, it's ba 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 ba, burpees, ba 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 ba, elbows up. Right? It's like you always get the English. So, man, a lot of people were asking for Tefy, right, Fern?
I get it.
Yeah,
She's
why is
good
she so
looking,
popular?
fit, smart, good trainer, like great to talk to.
Snatched 157.
Checks all the boxes.
Snatches more than Corey Leonard, that's for sure.
Snatches more than both of us.
No, I could snatch 157.
I don't believe that.
What were you doing? I missed. They were talking before I hopped on. What were you talking about that you snatched 157?
We had for today's class, we follow CAP, and we did, and it was interesting. It was just one snatch.
Wait, what happened? Did you mute her for a second, Cody?
No, I think she just cut out. It was what she said. It was a 20-minute EMOM of one snatch.
Every minute for 20 minutes.
That's correct.
That is what EMOM stands for.
Well, it could have been. Wait,
Nailed it.
every minute on the minute? No, but it could have been like even, odd, etc.
No, just one snatch. That was it.
You worked up. I'm not saying that's it. Like I'm not being like that. One of those people, like like Jonathan Ortega would be. Or
But I mean, it's very interesting, right? Because a lot of people will see that and be like, "Whoa, that's it." And then it's very. I was telling Fern, I don't feel comfortable telling you that, like Jason. I was telling Jason and Cody. So interesting, because then you see it. It's just one movement for 20 minutes, but as a trainer, you get to think, so how are they going to handle this? What do we want from this? So it's repetition, but at the same time, if they continue to build up, then they are going to have another kind of response as well. So maybe they should stay in the same weight for 2 to 4 sets. So how do you manage that? It's 20 minutes. So it's almost half the time of your class. So it was very interesting.
That, Trish wants to know, but what was the Metcon if all you did was 20 snatches? Yeah.
Well, and first, and also to this point here from Jose, wait, go to Jose. It's L4 coach. It's L4 coach.
Correct.
Jose.
That is actually correct, Jose.
Yeah. These guys are trainers. I'm a coach.
Exactly.
So
ask him if he's taken the level 4 assessment, because the answer is no. But I don't want to skip over that. So Tefy brought up Cap, so let's give Cap a shout out for all affiliates out there. Cap is free starting next week, next Monday. That is included in your affiliate fees. So if you want to check it out. It is there for you. Tons of coaching resources in there.
What are affiliate owners gonna complain about? What are they going to say? What do we get for our $3,000 when immediately upon paying, they get $1,800 in programming?
How much time do we have to talk about this?
I've got nowhere to go, Fern.
I have a pre-drafted list of affiliate owner complaints.
No, but affiliate owners, what do I get for my $3,000? Well, now something very tangible. Cap cost, what was it? 150?
It was $150. So immediately
right.
That's half of your affiliate fee wrapped up in there. And then so now what you can say is that you get to license the most recognizable fitness brand on planet Earth for $1,200. And they give you all of the programming and coaching resources that you want. So from a standpoint of like, what do you get? Now it's laughable for anybody to complain about that. Now, if you want more, that's a different discussion, but it's silly.
It's interesting, right? As well, like this gets me thinking, like if you have to ask, then I mean, you are not looking for that information because it's there. Like as soon as you hit the affiliation, then you see all of the things. So if you're wondering, you didn't even research. So how deep into this discussion are we? Are you serious about this? Are you not?
You bring up a good point, Tefy. So you are the country manager, correct?
Sí.
See, Latin America, right?
Sí, Latinoamérica.
Yeah. So I'm sure you have tons of these discussions with box owners about, hey, and what would you say, what just guess here, what percentage of box owners would you say are even remotely aware of the resources available to them provided by CrossFit in the APN or in their affiliate portal?
Oh, maybe like 10% of them. And it's due to our CrossFit standpoint as well, because this is everything is coming out is in English, which we need to be patient about it. This is a company that's like mainly speaks English, and it was born in the US. So it's going to take a little bit time for us to regionalize everything that's being put forth. So it just takes a little bit patience, and just like any other thing that you would expect, you have to wait. And then I understand them, right? It's not in their language. They don't know how to access it, but that's why we're here for, to talk to them and on how they can build their best business and impact people through it.
It's coming.
You have the echo.
What's that?
You have the echo again.
Do I have an echo?
I did. Yeah.
It's always Jay.
Not
Happy
the
it's
echo.
not you.
Oh, no. Is there an echo now?
Put it like literally in your mouth and let's see.
Don't be dirty. I got Tefy on
That
here.
was good coaching.
Yeah.
Is this good?
Yeah.
Is it
I was
better
going to show you a
Simple
visual.
and actionable cues.
Yeah, I need to give you a visual, Jay. So
that was his comeback.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think so there's just a general lack of awareness. And however, I don't. Yes, CrossFit has a responsibility there, but I don't want to let affiliate owners off the hook.
Mike, thank you.
Some of that, like you. Yes, thank you, Mike, for that donation. Cody will still not get coffee, but we appreciate your donation.
Cody, well, actually, before you go any further, we did announce today. We could say this, right?
I have no idea what you're going to say, so it depends.
I get in so much trouble for this stuff. The
Mastermind.
Yeah,
the Mastermind.
We announced today to our current clients we're having a mastermind here in Denver in June. Immediately, we hit our capacity then to find a bigger space. So, point being, Cody will be here. I'm gonna buy coffee of Cody.
Yeah, we're gonna buy Cody one coffee. But yeah,
one coffee.
So just quick plug here, and then we'll move on to the actual topic of the show. But the in Affiliate U, we're going to be holding moving forward 2 masterminds every year in person at no cost to the affiliates. You get yourself there. It'll be 2 days of a deep dive.
It's a social on Friday.
Yeah, really badass stuff. Probably going to try to do some other cool things there as well. But included, right? Like, so similar to like CrossFit's including cap in their affiliate fee. Like when you join Affiliate U, like that's included. Like in-person events are the absolute best. And I'm stoked. There's probably going to be 75 people there.
Oh, more because I was having people that haven't signed up yet asking me about, where to Apache Mike, for example, was that, where should I stay? Also, sorry.
Well, Will's coming all the way from Puerto Rico.
Oh, Will's coming?
Yeah. Will, just about to say, yeah, I know.
Colorado? Yeah.
Lo de la isla.
And then Yaliz, one of his coaches?
Sí, claro.
Oh, Yaliz in our, coaches development group. She has made such
Yali Camille? Is that what you're talking
about? Yali Camille. Yali Camille did great as well at her level 2. What box was that? Where were we at?
At Puerto Rico.
No, but what was the name of the box?
I do not remember the name of the box.
I don't remember the name of the box. It was huge. Naldi would know the name of the box, but it was Ellie's old box. Ellie, one of our CrossFit Purpose now, his old box. But anyway, in our coaches development group, Yali's is many of our people are fantastic. Fern, can I do another breaking news?
Oh yeah, bury the lead.
Is that? I feel like you use that not inappropriately, improperly when you say bury the lead.
Yeah, I'm making fun of you.
But I feel like you're not using it right.
That's the whole point.
Okay. DT. Can we talk about DT?
Yeah. I mean, how do we want to talk about it? Good, bad? How do we do this?
Indifferent. But for those of you unsure, Denise Thomas on the best hour team. On the best hour team. Number 1 draft pick. Denise Thomas. I told her, Fern. I said, her and our other pickup. We could talk about her as well.
Dude, we're scooping up some prime time, franchise players. Franchise tag. Franchise tag.
Sledgehammers, as Fern says. I call them heavy hitters. Sledgehammers. Denise Thomas, Lindsay Andrew, both part of the Best Hour team. So once we extend out to that
Working-
Latin
yeah,
America,
so they're-
we're gonna scoop
yeah.
you up, Tef. Only
So they're
bringing
work-
on the best, the best trainers,
Nice.
the best looking trainers as
Yeah.
well.
Well, we have to make up for us, so we have to
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
but yeah, they are going to be helping us with all the coach development, all that kind of stuff. So super excited because we have, I don't know, Jay, like how many people per call are you having on the coach development? Like 60,
Dude,
70?
last week's homework, I have over 100 submissions.
Yeah.
Over 100 submissions. I'd say 50 or 60 per call. We're going to add more calls as DT starts taking over the reins, and Lindsay starts contributing on that homework. But yeah, awesome stuff.
Congratulations are in order, guys. Right?
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
I mean-
we'll see. We haven't fired them yet. We'll see how
Yeah.
they do.
It's,
They're on probation.
yeah, if they want.
I mean, not
Um,
only them, but you guys, right? Now you're expanding. That means, I mean, there is a necessity. There's a need. I mean, coaches need coaching. Now, affiliate owners need someone to mentor them, and we're craving for it. So I'm just excited for what's to come.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, which is a perfect segue because we're going to be talking about the level 2. Obviously, we're breaking down level 2. Tefy, Flow Master. How many seminars have you worked, Tefy? Do you know?
Oh, close to 250.
Okay, cool. So
If
I think
not
we're
a
probably
little bit
all
more.
somewhere. Yeah, we're probably all somewhere in the same range-ish.
Yeah, except I'm not a flow master.
Correct. No, just
Everyone on the breaking down the L2
Cody,
flow master.
Cody, can you change Jay's name to loser? Just put at loser. Level 4 loser. But yeah, we're going to talk about level 2 specifically, kind of diving into the Teach Back 1. And I think this is an interesting topic because I think a lot of people try to do this at the gym, but aren't really sure like how to approach it. So they experience at their level 1, or excuse me, their level 2, and they're like, man, I'm going to go try to do this at my gym. And it typically either doesn't go well or is not received well or just a hot mess and then falls apart. So do you primarily work level 2s or level 1s, or is it a mixed bag, Tefy?
It's in a mix, but I got a little bit late to the level 2. So I've only been doing level 2s for probably 2 to 3 years. And I've been doing level 1s for almost a decade now.
Got it.
So
then,
there's
yeah,
a
'cause I
big
think-
difference.
I think we're all kind of in the same class, if you will, when we got hired, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And then how long have you been I know. We got to name that class. We got to name it.
We need to
We're like,
have a gathering, you know.
We
I
do.
would call us the new guard,
I like it.
right? Like
I like
the old guards, the Chuck Carswells, the Bozes, Nicole Carrolls, like the OGs, legends. They're the legends. And
I
then
like
we are like the new guard where, you know, because for those that don't know, like it's certainly not easy to get on staff, but our generation was like really had to bust their butt to get on staff. I mean, Fern had to learn the progressions even, which was a big deal.
Twice,
right? But I mean, you know, and it was like the last of the OGs, people that are getting on staff now, fantastic trainers, putting in the time, putting in the work, but they weren't around, you know, 07, 09, etc. So then we're the new guard. If you know, the new guard. What do you think? You like it, Tefy? How do you say that
I
in
like
Spanish?
it.
Unfortunately,
it.
Philip, Chuck can only be one person's hero, and he's my hero. So you can't have that.
Chuck will be. We're working on getting Chuck in real life, meaning sitting down with him, some whiskey, some cigars.
Woo!
Yeah,
Neither of which
good.
Jay are taken. He's just.
I'll
gonna be
just
there.
watch. Which Chuck has a way of getting you to do things you don't want to do. But
That's fair.
Tefy, how do you say new guard in Latin America?
La Nueva Guardia.
La Nueva
Guardia.
Guardia.
There you go.
Me gusta. I like it. I think
So-
that is so
I have
true.
watched that documentary Miso on Netflix, by the way, on the Rubik's Cubers.
So my little next door
Get
neighbor
into it.
Steven, just comes in and like shows off that he can do 8-sided Rubik's Cube or some crap like
It's-
that. And it's like,
It's
whatever, get out of my
I want to
house.
say it's not even that impressive because they're just learning patterns.
They're
not like solving it. It's just like they're repeating a pattern.
it is solving it, but you're saying that because you can't do it.
I've never
It's the
been-
same with
The only way I
coaching.
did it
Yeah.
when you're like young.
It's a
remember
pattern.
you pop them all off and then you put them back on. That's how I do it.
Okay.
So
So
getting back on track with regard
2 hours later.
Thanks, Cody. Okay, so before we even talk about the teach back number one, Tefy, can you explain that to anybody that hasn't taken their level 2, like essentially how that drill works?
It's an incredible drill. It's basically setting up a pattern on how you're gonna run every movement. It's called tell, show, do, and check, basically. And that's the pattern that you repeat for every point of performance or for the setup or whatever it is. But it's what I've figured out or I've kind of seen is that most people are not ready to say the tell because they don't know what the points of performance are or they're not that sure about it. So if we're starting with something that it's lacking on the first step, then you might not benefit from the others.
Cool. Okay, so you've laid the groundwork here, and typically in the level 2 setting on the high end, you might have 8 people. It's typically 5 to 7, depending on the size of the seminar, the number of attendees, I should say. What is your approach when going into that drill? Like, do you, because like I know like there's a format for it, but there's a decent amount of leeway in there for the head trainer to facilitate.
Yeah, so what I normally do is I let them pick one movement and then they have to layer in those points of performance. And I just let them start with the stance and the grip and maybe 1 point of performance. So that way they don't get carried over into this whole thing of trying to learn all of the points of performance, all of the drills, and they are not like probably more than 10 minutes in it because I know that they will struggle. This is the first drill of the weekend. So they are just trying to let their guards down as well. So I want them to be successful. So I just give them like the stance, the grip, maybe 1 point of performance, and just make sure that they're sticking to that tell, show, do, check drill when they do it. Tell
And what do
one thing that you want them to see, show them what that means, have them do it, and then look if that position is the one that you want them in. If not, then correct it. But at that point, we're really not correcting. So it's kind of weird because this is what we're used to doing. I like it. Let's see if that works. Maybe
you're
it's
on
my
mute.
headphones.
No, it's not you, Teffy. It's definitely Jay.
I blame Fern.
It's an ongoing. Just
He
get regular earbuds, dude. So
They're upstairs. I have regular earbuds. They're upstairs.
Hey, Cody, we need to get the clip this from have you seen my baseball?
So something about Mary.
That's right.
But yeah, I start with very little, so just that they get that sense of rhythm with it. Okay, just tell them where the stands, where the feet need to be. Now show them. Now have them do it. Now look around. Do you see anyone with the heels outside the hips or whatever it is? And just slowly but surely they kind of like build into it and they get more confident with it as well.
So the two primary aspects of coaching we're trying to isolate there are the teaching and the seeing together, right? So we're trying to do very, very simple teaching and then try to hone in on seeing. Obviously, there's a ton of different answers to this, but like, what do you see most people struggle with when they roll into that first drill? So remove all of the uncomfortableness and they just get nervous, but like, so let's talk purely from a skill standpoint. What are they lacking when they walk into that first drill? Like, what do you watch them work through the drill and you're like, oh, you don't possess this skill.
Knowledge.
Oh, that hurt.
That's not even a skill. That's not even a skill.
That hurt. So elaborate on that.
Let's say for the grip for the press. So I don't want your elbows pointing up. I don't want your elbows behind the bar. Well, where do you want the elbows to be? They know that it's not as high as the front squat, but they know they shouldn't be behind the bar. But where do they really need to be? So what common theme are we talking about there, right? So that's what I see the most, lack of, and I don't know if knowledge per se, or just they're not very confident on that knowledge.
Yeah, I would agree. Like it's there, you're able to pry it out, but the way I describe it is it's like it's not readily available. Meaning it's if you were to ask them a question, you can watch the gears grind and eventually they would get the answer out, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
what's your name? Jason. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people, I'm like, it should be like that. It should be readily available. If I woke you up in the dead of night and be like, progressions, you should be able to just rattle those out. Because the way I've always described it is that's not where you want to be spending your mental resources when you're coaching, not on that stuff, right? That stuff that should just be there. It should be housed there and you should have access to it whenever you want. Because if you're spending your mental resources in that, by the very nature of trying to remember that, you definitely can't see at that point, much less teach.
So I worked a seminar in a prison this past weekend, Arkansas Valley Correctional Facility, and I've worked a half a dozen of those over the last couple of years. I love them. They're truly my favorite seminars to do. And what's always impressive is how good they are. So I kick off
coaching. What do you mean?
They're better than most at coaching.
Okay.
Period. But the knowledge that they have. So I kicked off the weekend. What is CrossFit? Hey guys, how do you define CrossFit? Constantly very functional movements. Then I get to, all right, so what's intensity? The independent variable most common. Like they know
people are rattling off that whole
rattling it off. Like, and not just like the random dude. There was 21, I want to say, participants, all of them. And every single time I've worked a prison gig, they all are doing that. Point being, they have a lot of time, but they're studying. So, but then when you go out to the circles, and yes, at the level 1, there's not a whole lot of coaching, but on the pull up, on the muscle up, they know so much. And the bigger picture, I think, to what Tefy's saying is, I think a lot of CrossFit coaches out there will make excuses. Well, I only coach 2 hours a week, 4 hours a week. How am I going to get better? And it's, well, study your ass off like these guys. If you know, like Tefy's saying, hey, grab that bar, elbows down, but slightly in front of the bar. I don't have to coach a lot of pressing to remember that. And now I know where to look. It's just, they knew the level 1 manual inside and out. They knew the level 2 inside and out. Are you laughing at Matt's comment?
Number 1, that's an old school reference. So you've been around for a long time. That would be amazing if you did.
I did. Here's the fun part. Once you get in there, you can have so much fun with them. They're just like, they're so happy that someone's there, like treating them like a person, not, like a prisoner, for lack of better terms. So yes, I definitely said, like, squeeze your butt like you do in the showers here a couple times. It's funny every time.
Does it work?
Oh yeah, they love. They laugh at it, right?
Yeah.
And B, yeah, they get it. They get it.
Yeah.
No, they had a really good time. But the takeaway is, like, they're just studying. They know the manuals inside and out, and because of that, because the other thing I was going to say is, they don't have like access to videos or anything to watch coaching. They're getting better simply from studying. That was the point. Like, simply from reading the manual, they're getting better.
Which gets me thinking, like, I remember right? There was not much information out there. So what we had to study was the manual itself and the journal. And that was it. So straight out of the horse's mouth. And now it's like, okay, everyone has their own opinion on where the elbow should be. And it's really hard sometimes to know which one is correct. Well, so it's also like a lot of confusion out there.
You're explaining why when I passed the level 4, it was so much harder than it is today.
I think you should take it now, and then you can have that opinion. Maybe.
Maybe I need to go to jail, Allison. Allison
NYC. How do you? I have so many questions, Allison. How do you not have your level 3 at this point? Like, at one point, I know you took every CrossFit course that was offered at one point. Like, also,
do you still live in New York City, or?
Yeah, do we need to change your
Where do you live, Allison? Are you still in New York City?
Well, you brought up something there, Tefy, the journal, right? Like we had the journal, but the journal, I don't know, like, I know they still have articles, but the journal's not the journal as we knew it.
But there was a
Like-
lot of about the squats and the overhead squat. So it was just like that was the information and it made sense. And then now versus that is like there's a lot of information out there. So which one's to say that what's the one that is correct? CrossFit ones, if you're doing CrossFit.
Got it. I was kind of referencing like the journal, which is there are still journal articles, but it's not like there used to be like you would go to the CrossFit journal back in the day to study. You would sift through the articles, and that's not how it's set up anymore. It's kind of, I don't know what's the word, but like cryptic. Like if you Google it, you can get there, but I'm not really sure how to navigate on CrossFit.
Right. It's not like a periodical anymore where there's
right
monthly editions coming out. I mean, way back in the day, it was like a monthly thing. Athena, Glassman's dog was in the corner, right? It was like you can print it out. Where now I feel like it's just articles on a website.
Yeah, but it's not even like there used to be like a tab where you would log in to the journal, right? Like you would go in there and you would do that.
Yeah. Well,
like
especially
now,
when it was paid, when you had to pay for it.
Right. Yeah, it was like $45, something like that.
Now you have to look for the article.
Thank you,
Correct.
Mapuzi.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mapuzi, for complimenting
She's
me.
back. So getting back on track. So they're struggling with the knowledge. Obviously, I do want to bring to light that it's to learn to pre-populate the knowledge required to be somewhat successful at level 2 is going to take you a whopping, I don't know, if we're going to be egregious, 2 hours to remember points of performance and the progressions. If you just spent 2 hours, you would know them cold. Let's just
Do you
say
think
they
someone
don't.
can learn all the points of performance from the 9 foundational movements and the 4 progressions for life in 2 hours?
If you set a timer and you just repeated them ad nauseum for 2 hours, you would know them in 2 hours. Like,
should we do that on a show? Should we do a 2-hour show? Should we do a 2-hour show that people can watch to learn the points of performance and progressions? Cody,
might as well.
come on for a second.
I don't think
do
a
that.
lot of people will watch that because it's just repetition.
Trish
Well,
says no.
that it would also bring to light that it's not that much.
No
Right.
one's done that.
And
Maybe we
it's the
do it
same,
in an hour.
Maintaining neutral spine. Oh wow, that one's
Right.
for every single
Well, that
one.
can be so I think we're going to do like a preparing
And
for
we
the
have
level 3 series after this, and that would be something that would be worth highlighting. So,
And we have a new deck. Shout out to Ryder. Ryder did make us something nice to put out there for that.
yeah, we're going to figure out how to do that. But
Yeah.
okay, so let's assume they can't. Well, Cody, we brought him on and he said no words. Yeah.
Cody's worried he's getting replaced by AI still after I slacked him about that.
Well, it's his own fault because he's so into AI. He's like, hey,
dude,
guys,
he sent me that AI of you, and I figured out it wasn't you, but it tricked me. I was like, is this Fern talking weird, like a little weird, or is this AI?
You're kind of slow, so that's not shocking. But let's just say they can't. We're not going to learn that knowledge right there, real time in that setting, Tefy. So then, how are you working them through that problem set?
I let them have their notes, if that makes them comfortable. So they can just do the step-by-step piece and then go back home and practice that. But I would recommend, if you are looking to to be better as a trainer, to talk to the one that, like, your affiliate owner, and tell them that you need coaching development, because you should have that information even if you're not going into the level 2. Like, that's not stopping you. The information is out there. Like, have some coaching development within the walls of your gym, and just same thing, 2 hours. Let's learn them.
I used to make all of the interns. I still do make all the interns. Like, this is one of the first things you have to learn. I'll just ask them at any point. I'm like, push, press, progressions, go. Like, what's the points of performance of the squat? Go.
Pablo quizzed us before the level 1 last week.
Nice.
Should.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's about 50-50. Back in the day, every weekend. Also, we had a lot more interns, right? But every weekend, sumo deltotype, med ball clean, push press, push jerk. Yeah.
Keeps you on your toes. And then I know I used to be a demo girl a lot, but as I'm now a flow master, does that mean because now I'm not standing on top of a box that I'm not going to be working with my PVC pipe and recording myself?
Should be addressed. Happy birthday, Odd, from Miso Easy. I'm not certain that's her real name. We need to address this. Flow masters need to demo.
I demo because
Flowmasters,
now
we
we're
do.
like 2 trainers gigs,
I
which is
worked a
great.
gig. I
Yeah.
worked a gig. It was me, Pablo, Kevin Ogar,
Oh, cool.
who can't demo. He's lazy.
Why not?
And yeah,
Because he's lazy.
and Brentney, and I demoed everything. Like I should not be the demo girl.
I mean, you were so eager when you got into the staff, right?
No,
Like,
I
let
like
me
that.
demo
I like
everything.
demoing.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
enjoy demoing.
funny because you're an atrocious mover.
But man, on that demo box, I got compliments from both Pablo. I worked 2 seminars last week. Pablo and Chris McDonald were both like, "Man, you demo really well."
Okay.
I think
That's not true. I can see the feedback.
no, I did. Elbows were up high in the front squat. Yeah. All right, Brittany is awesome. Corey.
Okay, so with that, Tefy, like how are you guiding somebody through that process, right? So they're not going to learn it. You're walking them through. So for anybody that like the trainer's going to be like, hey, here's what you're going to do. You're going to work through the group and you're going to teach one aspect of this, and then you're going to identify a couple things. How are you helping them dial in? Because I think of it as like this is the for many of them, it's the first opportunity to start to create their own process for teaching and seeing and correcting.
Yeah, so I basically have them build the plan that we set out for them. So it starts with those points of performance, but also the setup position. Where do you want the stance to be in regards to what? And we go through them writing down their plan on how they're going to teach, and then they can implement it like that. And if they are struggling, I keep with them. So okay, you told them. Now what's next? Oh, okay, I have to demo. Okay, they demo because sometimes they don't. That's one of the things that they just say it, but they won't do it. They just expect them to do. So what were you missing? Oh, okay, I did not demo. Well, okay, let's go back then. Okay, let's start with the tell again. So we go back a little bit so they can create that pattern, even if it's just with the stance and the grip.
Okay, cool. So I typically, it's like, for me, I don't know how you guys approach it, but I'd be curious to hear both of your strategies here. I typically not expecting to do anybody to do anything very well in that breakout. For me, it's like just bringing some deficiencies to light so that they can essentially just prepare better. Because typically they roll in and they're like, I don't know what to do. It's like, hey, I used to be like, pick a direction, up or down. Which direction are you going to work on this group of athletes? And then start there, like make it super simple. And then they're like, I'm going to work up. And I'm like, okay, so that would dictate that we would start at the feet. And they're like, correct. I'm like, talk to me about the feet. And they're like, where should they be? They should be here. I'm like, cool, just teach that. Nothing else. And they're like, nothing else? I'm like, nothing else. It doesn't. Just start there. And we'll start to like layer these pieces on as we work through. Because I don't know what you guys think. Once we simplify it and we may essentially have them do less, all of a sudden the seeing starts to come to light.
Yeah, so I sometimes I ask them questions. So okay, I don't know where to start, right? So exactly. So let's start with the stance. Is the air squat? Where do you want his heels to be? Their heels to be underneath their shoulders. Okay, tell them. Heels underneath their shoulders, and then they look at you, right? It's like, okay, now show. You go, and we go little by little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's how. And it's not that they don't like. My biggest thing there is for them to just follow those patterns, because sometimes they skip one or they don't know where to go with it, or they go over another point of performance or another position and they haven't looked around. And then I ask them, do you like everyone's heels? Are they underneath the shoulders? And now they look around. Okay, that was great. Okay, Tefy is a little bit wider with the stance. Okay, so you would correct that. Don't worry about that just yet. Now let's move on to the other thing. We have the stance. We don't have a grip, but what point of performance do you want to teach them first? And then we go by. Yeah. And then I just kind of like same thing, stance, grip, and maybe one point of performance. Because if we're doing this, as I'm telling you, it's very slow, but that's the rhythm that someone may need. And that's okay. Like right now, we're just following that pattern. Because as simple as it seems, it's complex. But if you follow
Right.
it, then it's really amazing because it gives you the pathway.
But I think what you said earlier is accurate, Tefy. It's simple if you have the knowledge. That's what it comes back to. If you don't have that knowledge, you can't layer in the points of performance of the air squat because we simply don't know them. So we can figure out shoulder width. And then, like Fern said, if we're working feet up, cool. What's next? And they're like, squat, where it's like weight in the heels. Okay, what's next? Knees over. You have to have that prerequisite knowledge to be able to do any of this, and that's what we realize most often at the level 2. Like, oh, you don't know this stuff,
and a
you
plan,
just,
right? Because
yeah.
what's funny to me when I travel around and I go to a gym, even if they're not like, they just stand in there and like, okay, guys, we're gonna do the air squat. So it looks like this. Now you go. It's like,
Yep, or
okay.
we've all seen this. Like, oh, I got a progression. Don't worry, I'm doing the push press. It's like, all right, so you're gonna do this, and they're like, and we're like, but you said you had a progress. That's the progression. You're gonna go like this. Right? It's like, no, I got a progression. It's this. Watch. It's just like you're
Or
just
they're like,
going
hey,
slow. That's
I'm
not
gonna
a
teach
progression.
I'm gonna teach the press first. No, you're not. Just
Yeah, no. So yeah. So get your
You have
no, but
5 minutes to teach the push jerk. Do you want to start with the press?
yeah,
Like,
we're gonna go press,
but
push,
maybe,
press.
you know what? But sometimes, I mean, if it works, right? At the end of the day, if it works, because sometimes I could be saying a lot because I have so much knowledge, and now I want to say everything. And my member for that specific time, they just needed, hey, you're gonna do this. Now
Right.
you go. So if that works, then that's fine. But you need to know if it works. And you need it, without knowledge, you cannot assess it.
Well, and yeah, exactly. You don't know where to. When you show me that, when you show up and your progression for the push press is simply doing it slowly, you're telling me I don't know to look for vertical torso. I don't know to look for timing. I don't know to look for speed, right? Otherwise, we would be teaching those things along the way. By the way, for those in the chat, Allison NYC, I remember back in the day, Allison NYC was all over CrossFit demo. I remember there was a workout. I think you were competing at a level 1, and I want to say it was like John Gilson, and you were doing pull-ups. Let me know if that's accurate. But Allison NYC is an OG over there for demo.
Yeah,
for sure.
she used to be here in Virginia Beach.
Oh wow, yeah. But I remember she did like a little comp series back in the day on CrossFit.com. What does this mean? Solo, hey, what a form of function. One.
There's just one way to know if it works.
I was gonna get to it.
You were close.
I was on my way. I was on my way to get it.
You were close. Yeah,
like.
he got that Uno in there. He's like, is it a card game? How does this work? So Tefy, have you ever do you do things like this in the affiliate?
I do.
How do you run those?
So it depends. So I need to look at my trainers first and see if I were to put them in these different 6 categories, right? What are we lacking the most?
Mm-hmm.
And when I started doing coaching development for my team, probably like 8 years back, it was knowledge. It was they weren't certain where to put the stance, the grip, what are the points of performance, what is a progression. Doesn't have to be CrossFit 1, but you should have a progression. And I would recommend that you stick with it and you mastered it before maybe moving on to the next one, right? So the first thing that we did is me looking and watching my trainers and then seeing, okay, where are the biggest area of opportunity? Okay, they need to know those points of performance. So what we did, it was I presented those points of performance, and then next week, I have them tested. And then depending on their grade, the amount of classes that they got for the month. So if you want to work a little bit more, which they did, you need to earn it. And it's like you wouldn't hire a lawyer if they don't know the laws. It's just the same thing. And it wasn't hard. Everyone had like everyone knew their points of performance by the end of it.
You could say that for any occupation, really, right? Like,
correct.
You wouldn't hire a cook that doesn't know how to cook. But for some reason, in the fitness space, we allow it.
And then it's client based, right? Because I do think that presence and attitude is one of the things that people fear. As we say, more importantly, like they don't know if you know like most people, right? And the people that we want to have in the gym, like they get out of the couch. You got this. Come on, it's 1 hour a day. That people they won't know. They just want to be there to move, and it's okay. But they will know if they want to come back because how you made them feel.
Well,
so
Cody, do we have a breaking news sound yet? No? Okay. I told our coaches development group yesterday, Fern, it's going to sound a little crazy because I'm the only level 4 on this podcast, but I told them I'm not a great coach. Like I told them straight out, I was like, I think Fern and certainly DT, who was on the call with me, I was like, they are both better coaches than me. But if I show up to your box, those members are going to have a really good time and want to come back tomorrow. And I think that's like what you're saying, Tefy. Like the knowledge needs to be there, but you also need to show how much you care. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm coming back tomorrow because Jay played 80s rock and we high-fived. I'm coming back tomorrow because Jay cared and he asked me if I was coming back tomorrow and he gave me a good tip here and there. And I think that's where all coaches need to start, with that idea of getting your members to come back the next day through like Coach Glassman said, care about your members.
Just like we say in the level 1, right? Like, sorry to say that.
No, that's not the right one.
Yes,
sorry.
I am.
No,
but it's just like what we say for Grace, like in the technique lecture. It's like it would only get you to some point, because then you will have some more knowledge. And now you will see through, okay, he's not certain about this and this and that. So I'm only going to go through some levels. If I want to go above that, then I might need to change my coach.
Well, the longer you have the clients, the more competent they would become simply by just doing them, at which point your knowledge and your eye would need to become more refined to continue their progression over time. And that's where that would become exposed. And very candidly, this is where a lot of box owners have a real issue, is because they are not progressing as professional coaches. The members are progressing as athletes. So we now have a lopsided kind of equation where the athletes are getting better due to their own effort, because that's how CrossFit works. The coach is not helping them refine their movement patterns to create the efficiency required to continue that journey for a significantly longer duration of time. And this is why people leave gyms. This is why there's just like, oh, I'm not getting coached over here. And so it's just like, this is where, it drives me insane when, like people are just like, oh, like it doesn't matter if your people are good coaches. Like you just need to run a good business. I'm like, that's horse shit.
No,
that's horse shit. I don't know how else to say that. That is complete and utter garbage.
That's like saying run a really good business at your restaurant, but serve crappy food.
Terrible food.
No one's coming back. Like they'll be like, the service was amazing, the food was terrible, I'll give it one more try. And this is the second time they're like, yeah, never.
No one's coming back for that.
Nobody's coming back. And this is why I would really kind of urge coaches. I'm like, you should be continuing to stack knowledge so that no matter who walks in your gym, like the only purpose, the people that might be able to like outpace you in knowledge are professional athletes, because it's literally all they do is eat, sleep, and breathe. And they're so in the weeds about training and all that other stuff that at the bare minimum, like we're going to have a mental joust on a topic, right? But like, those are the only ones. And how many of those? I don't know, 100 on planet Earth. So it's not like should be a concern. Everybody else should really never be able to outpace you with regard to their knowledge, because that should be your job. And I think that's where people lose sight of that. And again, I brought it up at the last summit. Like this is the kind of the weird double-edged sword of CrossFit, is like, it's so potent, it's so effective, it's so sticky, that it creates a false sense of security, because it works. Even like James Hobart said, even when done poorly, it works. But that doesn't mean that we're off the hook. Like we have to continue to get better to optimize the delivery of something so effective.
Hey, especially if it's your job. Like
right.
It's not you should. It's you're doing it. I shouldn't. I mean,
anything you care about, you should want to get better.
Yeah.
Right.
And you should enjoy it.
What does this mean?
Yeah, I do. If I wear a wedding ring when I work out. Yeah.
All right, Trish. I feel like she's.
Well,
let's be clear. We're not certain Trish is a woman, but she's hitting on you, I feel like, with this. Allison wants to know, do you teach the level 1s in Spanish-speaking countries?
Sí, de hecho, actually, we had one in Miami last weekend, and it was only Spanish, which was
in
great.
Miami, like on purpose?
En Miami,
or
no utilicé mi inglés ni una sola vez todo el fin de semana.
You just started speaking. Did you realize you just started speaking Spanish?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did not. That was for everyone that speaks Spanish in here. I didn't use my English at all in Miami. I wasn't able to practice. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be in best hour. So even in the airport or whatever, no one spoke to me in English.
I'm trying to learn Spanish. Joby, did Marcus say I wasn't a good coach when you said this? Marcus said the same thing today. I want to know what you're talking about because I need to have a conversation with Marcus. I'm gonna learn Spanish. We have an au pair coming in July, I think, and from Argentina. So I'm going to learn Spanish.
The best way is to learn it with what you love. So maybe CrossFit. Follow CrossFit Latam on Instagram and CrossFit España. That's how I learned Portuguese.
Let's be real. Ackerman only loves himself, so he would just be talking to himself.
How do you say level 4 in Spanish?
How do you say level 4?
Cuatro?
Nivel 4. That's all you need.
Allison,
so have you
seen? Get an au pair.
Yeah, so when you're doing this in the affiliate, Tefy, like where have you seen this go wrong? So I've seen this, like people try to run these drills or give this feedback inside of the affiliate. What would be some guidance or some things for people to think about if they're trying to take these drills back into the gym and start developing their staff?
Simple. Start simple, but start. And then if you don't have like a lot of time to watch your trainers, then start with that teaching, then go to seeing and just follow down, trickle down effect. And just very, very, very simple, because at the same time, we're asking a lot of our trainers, right? I do want them to have a life. So coaching development, as interesting and as fun as it is, sometimes can take a lot of time. So if I want to do just 1 hour, maybe when I started this, it was 1 hour every week, which was a lot because at the beginning, they needed a lot. At my gym, it was me as a CrossFit level 2 trainer at that time. And I was already working for the staff. And then I developed another one of our team peers, Uriel, that he was also. So it was like 2 trainers from the seminar staff. And then we had 4 other trainers. So it was very obvious for everyone, the difference between classes. So what we wanted to do is kind of like, we deliver the same service. So how can we make this gap a little bit smaller? So it was just starting small, and every week, like just 1 hour. And the hour goes by really, really quickly. So start small, but start, which is...
Well, that was something you said, and we're experiencing this with Affiliate U and our coaches development. We have at any given time 200 active clients, working with us, and they're like Fern said earlier, we coach business, but we also coach coaches development equally, right? It's a year with us developing your coaches, and some of the affiliates struggle to get their coaches to buy in, and all it takes is one. You get one coach to buy in, and the other coaches see them getting better, and it's like, oh shit, because now your members,
it's just like working out. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the shitty coach.
And your members like stop going.
I don't want to be the
class.
last one there.
But your members are like, well, I'm not going to go to this class because Yaliz is getting so much better, so I'm going to go to her class. She gives me more cues. And DT said it in our coaches development group. A member that's getting coached and making progress is a member that's not going to complain and most likely never leave. Right? Your members are rarely leaving for reasons other than I'm not making progress, I'm not getting coached, therefore I'm not seeing the value in what I'm paying for, right? Because it's cheaper to just, any global gym these days has a CrossFit area, whether that's what they call it or not. So if I'm not going to get coached, I'll just go there for significantly less money. If you coach, and if you by the way, by default, if you coach, they're going to make progress.
Yeah, I mean, it's just icing on the cake because, again, CrossFit works. But even if you didn't know what you were doing, you didn't know the difference between your ass and the hole in the ground, like they would get fitter. like by accident. You think of like when we all started CrossFit probably collectively 15 years ago, like on average. At which point, like, there's probably like no good trainers 15 years ago. Like everybody was just figuring it out 15 years ago.
Even if you go back and watch like Andy Stumpf, remember that Andy Stumpf video coaching the overhead squat? He's like basically treating them like they're in boot camp for right? Hell Week. It's like Hell Week. Like
I'm pretty sure that's how he treats everybody, but
yeah, but I mean that was what I watched to study,
right?
Or nowadays you can go on like, hey, just subscribe to the Best Hour channel and you get coaching for an affiliate, you get breaking down a manual, you get a breaking down a class on Thursdays, right? But we're not the only people, we're just the best. But there's other people doing this, so it's out there these days.
Yeah, definitely. And what I think you guys mentioned it a couple podcasts ago is accountability. They're coming here because they do want results. So first of all, we need to know what that's like for them, because sometimes they just want to move. So okay, let's move. So I need to make this entertaining for you. I need to make sure that you're getting those results and that you're happy with this program, because and the same is true. Like if I don't have enough knowledge, I'm going to give you this intensity part and too much of it, and then you might not come back. So now I lost you as a client and someone that could potentially benefit so much from doing this and just sticking around for a little while, and then dial in a little bit when you get a little bit fitter or more accustomed to intensity. But you need to know. And for that, I do need to see results. So when I talk about coaching development, it's just start. It might feel like it's a lot of work, but it's fun work. Like we get to do this. Sometimes I feel like we forget. Like it's like this job is amazing, and I'm so eager to learn because I want to be better for them, and in that makes me be better. My mentor, so Carlos Andrade, from the staff as well.
Who's that?
Says that one, Carlos Andrade. You should have him here as well. Carlos, very interesting man as well. When one teaches to learn. And that's so true. Like I got myself increasingly better as well doing coaching development for others, because now my trainers know where I'm lacking as well. And that's also the accountability part for myself. Yeah. Like I cannot be late. I need to have a progression. Oh, I forgot to see. I missed that hip extension. Why? So it's just, you don't want to be the last one, eh? It's just like working out. It's just like, you don't want to be the one that is the ugly duckling there.
And I think it's important also that you're recognizing there's always more to learn, right? This weekend in the prison gig, Chris McDonald, owner of CrossFit X Factor, level 4 assessor. He's one of the people that grades the level 4s. He gave some lectures and I was like, I just learned so much. I mean, granted,
he's a smart cat, dude.
I'm going to say he gave a 45-minute GHD lecture, which I demoed for, but I learned a lot during that lecture. And he asked for feedback from me after, and I was like, Chris,
well, the
bring it to an 11.
Minutes.
I was like, bring it down to an 11. I was like, you gave it at a 12. I was like, drop it down, and he was like, noted. But it was like, man, I'm learning so much, and like you said, Tefy, being at the prison seminar specifically, it just reminds me, I'm like, man, I love this stuff. Like, because you see the impact. Like, I think it's easy to forget the impact we have on everyday lives at the box, right? Whether Rife, Latin America, everyone in the chat, like, the impact we have on hundreds of people every day. And then you really see what CrossFit can do. Like when you're in a prison and you're like people that would never associate with one another are cheering each other on, hugging each other, just making like, and they're, I've gotten 3 people that were in prison, jobs coaching CrossFit once they got out. So the fact that they're not going back, like, it's just really awesome to see the impact CrossFit has for so many lives. Yes. That's really cool. Chubby Cox, again, not sure that's your real name. We will have Tefy do a little coaching and Spanish at the end.
I feel also like we have to not just remember what we do for them, but like what CrossFit is allowing us to do as well. Like myself, I never thought when I was growing up that I would have this awesome job. And it was just because I was pushing myself to being the best of this. So I knew, I remember like the first time I knew I wanted to make this a career, it was just training others. I'm saying just, but it's still like, this is the thing that I want to do when I'm 70.
Right.
And I love it. So I need to get more of that to be better at it. And I want to be better at it. And I get to do it. I'm not working something else that I didn't enjoy back in the day. Right.
What
so
did
I'm
you
really
think you would
grateful.
do, Tefy? What did you think your job would be?
When I was growing up, I really just wanted to be a housewife.
Really? I think there's plenty of people in the chat that'll allow you to do that job. That's
Yeah.
that was a career ambition to be a house.
That is
I wanted to be a house
here.
husband, to be
Oh
fair.
yeah, well that's a thing
I'm
now,
still
and it's.
trying. Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. Go at it and do it. Like I know a couple of my friends when I was growing up, that was the thing, right? You went to
Yeah.
university and you got your degree, and then you find a husband, and then you do the wife stuff, which is great as well if you're gonna do it. Like if you're gonna support your husband, and then you're gonna raise the kids, and you're gonna have your house like it should be, like you want it to be for your family, then go do it. Which is great. But now for me, I remember just like someone telling me, hey Tefy, now I can squat below parallel, I can stand up. And that just like instant magic that I got, it was like, I want to chase this. And this was even like before getting on staff, I was just working as shadow for someone that needed some help because it was a 40 people class. And I was there regularly. So it was like, Tefy, can you help me fix someone's knees in the back? Sure. And slowly but surely, like a couple of months into it, this person came up to me and told me that, like, show me that full depth squat. So I would just pursue that.
Do you think you are more, and I kind of, this word is dangerous, but do you think you are more or less passionate now than you were 10 years ago?
Ooh.
Oh, I think now I'm more passionate about it. I think I was in my 20s. So I was just figuring out who even I was.
Would you say the same about you, though, Fern? I think you're more passionate now.
I would, and I was listening to somebody speak recently, and I don't remember what it was about, but they were talking about that, and they're just like people tell everybody to follow their passion. He's like, it's bullshit. He was like, the person that's telling you that is already rich, and he was like, you don't really have the, I forget how he said it, but he was like saying, he's like, you can't really understand what true passion is until you've developed a skill set that allows you to pursue it with great passion. Meaning like you're only really passionate about something once you're so good at it that it allows you to do that thing like as your kind of purpose and or for a living, therefore you can now actually be passionate. Otherwise it's just something that you're romantic about. But it was an interesting concept, and I was like, oh, that's actually a good point. Like you can't really be passionate about something you're not good at. Like you can want it, but you don't really, I guess passion, it kind of, it aligns very closely with mastery, I think. Like true passion, where you're just like, God, I genuinely love this thing. Therefore I spend all of my time thinking about it and doing it.
Because now you get to know them, like it's like a marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think when we all started, we were really inspired by CrossFit and we were passionate about it. But now, 16 years later, you really see the impact it can have. So it's easier to become even more passionate because you're like, no, I've seen someone lose 200 pounds. No, I've seen someone reverse type 2 diabetes. I've seen someone who said they could never squat below parallel, bury 225. So it's like, now it's easy to be even more passionate than, especially you and I, Fern and Tefy, with your Latin America affiliate rep, like now we can be passionate at a bigger level because we see what every affiliate, the impact they can have. So it's even more fun.
But also to be clear on what your goals are, like in 10 years, what do you want to be doing? Do you want to have a lot of houses and a lot of money? Then figure out a path to do that. Like for me, I just want to be 70, having gray hair next to my husband and just teaching fitness. That's it. So I go and chase that. And then I do make a good living. I'm not saying that I don't, but I chase the one thing that I really want to do.
What if you are there, but you have brown hair still? Will you be satisfied?
No, I'll diet.
You diet?
And I do have gray hair. Yeah.
How old are you, Tefy?
I'm 32 next month.
So
Oh,
young still.
so
Wow.
young.
So
You're
you were
basically
like
a teenager.
so early or so young when you got on staff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really young. Okay.
Should we bring it back on topic, Cody? Would you like that?
I think we're pretty much wrapping this up. I mean,
I don't know. We
okay,
haven't
so
even asked any
Do
of the
coaching
questions.
development at your gyms. Start
but we
small.
kind of covered them. That's what I was gonna say, Tefy. Like,
Yeah.
wrap
We
this up
did
for us.
cover it.
Like,
but before, let me ask Tefy a question. When you give a value, you kind of touched on it a little bit. What's your secret? What's the Tefy secret to give evaluations or feedback to your coaches, leaving them motivated, not demotivated?
This changes, right? This keeps evolving just because feedback, as we mentioned, is not very comfortable and it's needed. So what I did was figuring out things that I do like that they're doing great, because they have to keep it. And it's just like what we do when we're correcting someone. Hey, great job with those elbows, slightly higher. Now keep that belly tight. Hey, great job with that tail show do. After that, it goes the check. So make sure that you're watching one static first on the setup, then watch the dynamic. And then if you want, then correct that athlete. But if you have the ability moving forward, now when they're in the finishing position, now look at someone else and now correct them and then talk to your dynamic. So it depends on where they are. But what I like to do is tell them what they're doing great so they can keep it. And then one thing of the major, the common fall that they can benefit from. So I kind of like labor and tell it's same thing: teaching, seeing, correcting, presence and attitude, group management, or demonstration. What is that theme? Where does that fit? And how can we get better? So I give them what it works for me is doing this.
Compliment sandwich, though, also.
Compliment sandwich. But I also, but I'm starting also to be trying to think about the 1 minute manager, which is like set goals, then give them praise, and then reprimand, which I feel like that's also very interesting, because sometimes when it's this sandwich of like compliment, it's like sometimes I did not hear what I was, it's unclear, right? Yeah. So what was the goal? So I asked first, because if what I'm giving feedback on is not even the thing that you were working on, that's not fair.
Yeah, so, no, I like that. So we have 3 questions from the producer, aka Cody. Hey. I'm going to ask you those in the interim, in the chat. If you do have legitimate questions for Tefy, Trish, don't ask her to marry you or any crazy stuff out here. Let's real coaching questions, or maybe about her journey in CrossFit, if that's cool, Tefy. Drop those in the chat. We'll bring them on there. First question from the producer: is it good practice to do teach back sessions with your coaches, like what is done in the level 2? And if so, what is the best way to approach doing that?
Any practice is good practice. But the best practice, as I mentioned before, is keeping it simple.
Keep it simple. Should we ask our coaches to self-evaluate first based on the 6 criteria to get an idea of where they think they are strong or weak?
Sure. The more information, the better. That will make them feel comfortable. They will also start to be self-aware on those categories, and then you can see if they agree. And maybe they do have something that is like, they had a great attitude and they think they don't. So maybe you can clear that out on how it looks from the outside looking in. But yeah, it's interesting. I like it.
Can coaches evaluate each other, or should there be only 1 to 2 designated evaluators?
Ooh, that's a great one, because if you put someone else, as I mentioned, that trainer will also gain some development within giving feedback. But I need to trust that person as well. So we did this as well as in my gym, and I trust them all. Like level 2's Marta, which is also from staff, was there at my gym. And we needed to take everyone's classes. So at least you had to take every coach's class in the week, which was great because you build community. And then you give them at the end 1 note of what you like, what could they improve on, and how.
Hey,
Just
Fern,
one thing.
I know at Rife, Lindsay does she do all of the evaluations or just most of them?
Most of them. I'm actually trying to get back into doing some of them as well, but she does a lot of them.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Tefy, earlier, like if you're doing the evaluation, you're teaching and learning at the same time.
I mean, I made some of my biggest leaps as a trainer when I started doing. You see the lens is different, right? The things that you see and notice and start to unpack, it starts to really come to light when you watch somebody else and you watch it with a critical eye, with the intent of making them better. Is where good feedback lies, I think.
Yeah, and Franco, this is a scripted show. We keep it very rigid. We follow a script. We prefer for the chat to stay appropriate, no nonsense. If that's not the type of show you want to watch, Franco, there's other shows on YouTube for you.
I have no idea what just happened.
Franco said it seems like we're reading from a script.
We were reading those questions.
Yeah, we were reading questions. Very, very astute. Is that the right term? How do you approach your coaches with weakness that you have noticed? Jeffrey Birchfield.
I do coaching development. So I first teach them because I pretend they might not know it. And if they do know it, maybe like the tell, show, do drill, it's been a while since I've brought that back. And now they're slipping. So if I notice that, then I'll bring it back and we will do some coaching development all together, because this could be a trend amongst my other trainers. But if not, then it's also good to reinforce those steps. And we do that the same thing if someone else has another weakness. Okay, so maybe it's speaking a little bit louder. So now we're going to have cover ears, and now let's see if you can follow those instructions. And they have to speak very loudly. So whatever it is.
Girls.
And it's also like team building. Like when you're doing coaching development, try to think about this as team building. Like we're trainers. We're the force of the gym. We should be together at some point, not just see each other like passing through or whatever, right? Sometimes even coaching development could be just like, hey guys, today you're running the workout for all the trainers. And let's see how you do. Yeah.
It should be fun.
It should be fun.
And you should be, your trainers are your front line at the box.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to keep it, I used to tell my staff, and we would fight behind the scenes, whether it was about programming or whatever, and be like, cool, we can fight all you want. Same thing Fern and I would say about our company. Like we rarely do, but if it's like, if we're going to butt heads, it's behind the scenes, but then in front of the team, hey, we're a united front. We support Cap. We support whatever. Like that's what it's all about. But that's not going to happen accidentally. That's something the culture you need to really and having the values and the mission for the box. Next question, Cody. Jorge. Tefy. Saludos desde Tampico. Did I say that right? Is that right?
Sí.
Yeah, see. What's your best advice to keep motivation into coaching on a daily basis? Sometimes you get stuck in a routine and feel less motivated.
Oof.
I've got some feedback for that one.
Ooh, go ahead.
Let's let the guest answer, and then definitely hear.
That's a good one. I don't know how. I think I need now to look at it and figure out, and maybe ask my trainers, how do I do that? But I try to be in their classes when I can, and I've known that a couple of my trainers like, no, Tefy's gonna take the class, and I'm not even there to like do coaching development or anything. I just want to take the class. But now they feel a little bit more pressure, and at the end I'm like, hey, that was a great class, or if not, then this, right? So it keeps them, I don't know if good motivation but still motivation. She might take the next class next weekend or whatever it is, and now they feel the need to push it a little bit harder. And at the same time, it's like I also send them this kind of videos, right? Information like, hey guys, we can be better. This is a couple of tools how to. I invest in myself in what we do, and I treat it as a profession, and I treat them as professionals as well.
I like
Fern?
it. Discipline trumps motivation.
Ooh, Fern.
Gotta
give him once in a while he drops some knowledge.
That's not. Huh? So this is the whole thing where like you, and I don't mean this to be harsh. Like it's if we're talking about the top end professionals, nobody's motivated all the time. It's not a thing. Anybody tells you that's completely full of shit. That's not how motivation works. And and I talk to my coaches all the time. I'm like, a true professionals, you would never know whether they're motivated or not. You might know if they're a little bit more fired up than normal, but true professionals, they walk out onto the court, to the floor, to the office, to the boardroom, wherever, and they do the thing regardless of what they feel like. And I think sometimes it's okay to acknowledge, like, I don't feel motivated and I'm not going to feel motivated today, but I am going to go do the thing. I'm going to go coach the class. I'm going to go do the meeting. I'm going to go finish the spreadsheet. And because that discipline takes you through the many times, probably the vast majority of times, that you will not be motivated to do whatever that stupid thing is, because it's impossible to walk around motivated all the time. So develop discipline, and then that discipline will drive motivation, because that discipline will help you be like, hey, you know what? I'm having a bad day. I'm still going to rock the shit out of this class, even though I'm having a bad day, because that's what professionals do. So I think it's like just really honing in and being okay with it. Like, I'm not going to feel motivated today, but you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to coach a bad class. Those two things are not related.
You know what I say about motivation, Fern?
It's like bathing.
It's like bathing.
Yeah.
It's like bathing.
Finish the statement. What is it?
Uh-huh.
I can't remember the rest.
Yeah, it's like
great.
bathing. It's not permanent and should be done often.
Yeah, it's not permanent and should be done often. And also, Fern, my mantra: winners win. You know,
Winners win.
Winners win. Like, you're not going to be motivated for everything in life, but guess what? Winners win. Winners find a way to come out on top. And yeah, and there's no job out there where you're like, man, I'm so psyched to be here every single day. But when you step out in front of class, be it 1 or 12 or 20, remind yourself, like, these people, like, I have a chance to positively impact these people. And that should truly be all the motivation you need. If stepping out in front of a class and realizing, like, I have the most impact on this person's day today, like right now, if that doesn't motivate you, you might be in the wrong field.
I just think it's like discipline is a muscle, and you have to exercise it. Like today, it was a very good example. Like, I did not want to review homework. Very rarely I'm like, I want to review all this homework.
Yeah.
So, but I go in and I do it, and I'm like, this is not fun for me, but it's what is required. Like, that is why I'm here. It's what I'm doing. And
It's one piece of the puzzle.
It's one piece of the puzzle.
And you also know where we want to be. You sent me that Hormozy video yesterday. It's like, this is the grunt. Like, this is the grind right now.
Right.
But in 5 years, when people are like, how the fuck is Fern the best affiliate coach in the world? Well, he did homework on the days he didn't want to do it.
Right. Pull up this Johari window one. Oh no, it's already up. So
what is this? What is
this is
Johari's
an interesting
window?
one. It's like an awareness matrix. So I know this. I wrote a little blog on it a while back, but essentially it's like the top left quadrant is everybody knows. The bottom right quadrant is nobody knows. The bottom left quadrant is I can't remember, but the top right quadrant is everybody else knows, but you're unaware, right? So like, how do you? It's about self-awareness essentially. Do you have it, Cody? Pull it up real quick.
I was just like, Cody, where are you?
Yeah. So, okay. So open area, right? So known to self, known to everybody else. Top right is not known to self, but known to others. Not known to others, but known to self. And then bottom right is not known to anybody.
It's like the Eisenhower matrix for
kind of, yeah.
Awareness.
And I think one of the best ways to address this is I think Tefy kind of already alluded to it, is ask a question when you start the feedback. And this is kind of like something I stole from Chuck Carswell, and it's very much addresses the Johari window, because it exposes where the blind spots are essentially. And what you're trying to find is the blind spot, which is, I see it, but you're unaware. And that's simply just be like, hey, if you were to run that back right now, would you change anything? What went well, and what do you think you could be better at? And immediately in that response, you'll probably be able to find like where they fit on the matrix in there. It's just like, because if they're like, I thought I crushed it, and you're watching, you're like, nothing about that was great, then you're like, okay, blind spot is like they have a lack of self-awareness on like what good is. So now I can start to tailor the feedback and only give what would create awareness to bring, okay, now it is both known to us, to both parties, that this was not good, or whatever it might be. So,
and prioritize as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think the way to use that matrix is ask a question so that they can give you information, so that you can start to figure out where the blind spot is.
Yeah, and I was gonna also ask, like, why are you not motivated? Do you not have a goal?
Right.
So maybe that's one thing. Because if you did, and that was a clear path, I want to go to semifinals. So can you eat that burger?
Right.
Can you not sleep 8 hours? Because if you don't have a goal, then that's gonna be easier to be not motivated, I guess.
Yeah, a
Agreed.
goal always helps staying on there. Another
Going
question,
to
Cody.
seminars as well, right? Like investing yourself into more
Right.
education as well, and knowledge, and talking to others, because there's a lot of people like you guys that want to talk about this stuff. So it makes me fired up as well. Like, yeah, they need to be better. Yes, I need to get my level 4. Yes, my business needs some help. So, but
That's
if
a
I'm alone
that's
and
a slippery
isolated, it's hard.
slope. That's a slippery slope, though, as I found myself, is where just like you can get into these bouts of just consuming information, all sorts of information, and never actually doing anything
Right.
with it. At which point, I'm never actually progressing forward. I've got all this information, but if I'm never doing anything with it, then that's the missing link. And I think that's where it feels good to consume information, right? I'm like, oh, I'm here, I'm experiencing the thing, but like nobody wants to go back and take that idea or that principle and like put it into practice, because that shit sucks.
Hard. And it's
It's
hard.
hard.
But it's just like CrossFit, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be hard. It's the hard that makes it great. Jimmy Dugan, A League of Their Own. How do you do coaching development for when your coaches are there for sweat equity? So not looking to be better just for free memberships. Well, before Tefy, you answer, I think, Jonathan, you answered your own question. You buried the lead, as Fern would say. If they're not there to be better just for free memberships, they shouldn't be coaching for you. Care to expand on that, Tefy?
Yeah. So definitely, if they're not interested, you don't want them on your team. Like, that's it. You want a strong team. There's a lot of people probably out there in your gym that they do want to put the hard work. They might not be trainers right now, but if they're hungry enough, they'll get there. And you better want those people that are willing to make themselves better. And I know it's hard, right? And you need to make it appealing as well, because if I'm putting out if I'm putting in the effort, I just don't. It's not enough that you let me train there. You need to see me as a professional as well. So it goes both ways.
I think you can appeal to their ego, because everybody has an ego. And I can tell you, they might not want to get better. I tell you what they absolutely want to do is look cool in front of the group. And if you're a good enough coach and you can give them the skills to look like a rock star, guess what? Their ears are going to perk up and they're going to start listening. So teach them to smash, because coaches, when they stand up there, they want to be the person that is revered. They want to be the person that people look up to, like, "Dope, that dude is awesome. That chick is crushing, and I will listen to anything that she says." And part of that is make them look good, like give them the tools. And I think one of the things that I had to learn the hard way was, like, when you first start giving feedback, the feedback is largely like, "You suck," which is not super useful to anybody.
You tell me that almost every day. You tell me that almost every day.
That's
Still
just because
not
it feels
And
good
my
for me.
feedback is like, you can get so much better.
Right. Or like, here's how. Right. Yeah.
You have the
great
potential to be
you have
so
great
great,
potential.
Jay.
You have great potential.
Great.
It's unrealized potential, but so much potential. I think it's giving them the answers to the test so that it's easy for them to progress, I think is a way to approach that. It's just like, dude, if you want to crush that whiteboard, like, here's a couple of like tips that whiteboard brief. Here's a couple of tips that would really help to get the crew on board, and like they're gonna love your class if you do like a handful of little things.
Yeah, start small. Like, if it's just like 30 minutes of practicing how to say the whiteboard, and that's gonna make it look great, then yeah. But at the same time, yeah, I want to elevate them, but I do want to make sure I'm picking the right team for me, but also developing it. So it goes both ways.
There's definitely some turds out there just like, you're not going to fit in here.
Well, that's the other thing, as an affiliate owner, being willing to admit you made a mistake. Like, hey, I thought you'd be a great fit for this team. Turns out you're not. And, something I tell a lot of our clients is change the people or change the people. And the people that got you to where you currently are as an affiliate owner and got your box to where it is may not be the people that help elevate you to being a world-class affiliate. They may be the ones that got you like, cool, we got 100 members. Well, to get to 150, that team needs to be dialed in and better. And it might be different people that take you there. All right.
But also be clear, right? I'm sorry. Also be clear on
No.
your expectations, and those expectations
Right.
can change. But if they're clear, now they know what they need to bring. So it's as I mentioned, it's like working with them. So how badly do you want them? Do you see something in them that it's interesting enough for your staff, but it just needs a little bit tuning? Then that's fine. You can do that.
Cody, what did we say about clarity? Cody, tell us. My goodness. Sorry, Tefy.
Dude, I mean, you can't just demand something from me immediately while I'm off screen.
What do we say about clarity?
Clarity's kindness.
Clarity is kindness. Jason
Clear
Fernandez.
is kind.
All right, so
Change your name
So-
from Brene Brown to Jason Harriman.
before we wrap up, like, subscribe, do all the things. Clear is kind. That's right, Nikki Sharp, level 3. Nikki Sharp, no spoilers. Roz was too tired to watch Ted Lasso last night, so I'll be watching it tonight. Oh, we got one more question. But like and subscribe, and then I got something for Tefy. How do you manage when you did the wrong selection and now they are part of the group? Ernesto. Fern, how do you handle that at Rife? You've done it well.
Ernesto. Yeah,
You
same
know
thing.
Ernesto?
So, see?
You know him? You know him? See?
She fired him.
She fired Ernesto.
He knows. He knows how I do that. No, same thing. I set expectations. So, hey guys, these are the new expectations for this month, or this if you want to do it in 4 months or year, whatever it is. So now, if they are gonna fill those expectations, then fine. If they cannot now, because now they have another job and they cannot be there for the coaching development that we have once every month, then maybe we had a great run, right? And it was great. Like we have to also normalize that. Now you're on to another adventure. So am I, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'd love to have you here training. And now, if you do decide to go down that road, then you have like maybe, I don't know, perks to it because you were staff member once. I don't know.
No, I
think the key to that is like if they're unaware that they're failing, then that's a failure in your leadership.
Ooh, I'm telling you, man. Fern, I got an idea. We're gonna do a book together. I got an idea.
I'm never doing a book with you ever.
Come on, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be color picture.
You're already doing this thing with it.
I gotta put the new book
This is
up.
as far as it goes, Tefy.
People are demanding.
We can barely do the show. We can barely do the show. Much less write a book.
People are demanding the sequel to Best Hour of Their Day, the book.
Everybody. This is everybody. This
Everyone's
is
asking
in the
for
box.
it.
Everybody's asking
Everyone's
for it.
asking for it.
It's basically just Trish, who we think is a guy living in his mom's basement.
Mejor hour of your day. Part 2.
Stay away from that trap.
Tefy, here's what I would like, Tefy. You're a flow master. Seminar ends Sunday evening. We're wrapping up. Will you take this podcast out with closing remarks in Espanol?
How much time do I have?
As much as you need, my friend, mi amiga.
Chicos, muchísimas gracias por venir. Ha sido un verdadero honor estar aquí con ustedes. Espero que les haya servido esto lo suficiente para ahora ustedes ponerlo en acción. Recuerden que la práctica hace la perfección. Muchísimas gracias por sintonizarnos y sigan al pendiente.